Hey there, Damien here with 9 to 5 Google, and at least until the Note 10 launch, the Galaxy Note 9 is technically still the best Note you can buy. But knowing what we know about the Note 10, let's take a look back at what could be the last no-compromise Galaxy Note. From its release in late 2018, the Note 9 was my main companion at least until the launch of the Huawei P30 Pro and then the OnePlus 7 Pro most recently. The combination of battery life, sumptuous screen and overall experience are still a massive draw today, and the main reason it stayed in my pocket for quite some time. I held out for the update to Android Pie, and it was worth the wait as it gave the Note 9 a new lease of life, which came just ahead of the S10 launch, would you believe it. When you put the S10 and the Note 9 side by side, it's clear where the two design languages clash. The Note 9 is by no means old, it just feels old with what I would consider small bezels. The display is still amazing, but considering the S10 Plus has a smaller footprint but a slightly bigger display, it's hard to argue that the smaller bezel makes sense to shrink smartphone sizes. In usage though, I do actually like the tiny forehead and chin as they are uniform and they give you something to grip hold of. They also frame the display exceptionally well in my opinion. This is of course the last Note of its type. If you're not a fan of the Infinity O display, then I'm sorry, but the Note 10 is probably not going to be for you. Even despite the move for new devices to move to Infinity O, the Note 9 is still gorgeous and a well thought out smartphone. The fingerprint reader is in a great position still for reachability, and the central camera bump is small and it protrudes only minimally. I really like the soft edges that make the device kind of much more comfortable to hold, with a flat portion providing extra tactility. These also help prevent random edge touches, which I am concerned about with the upcoming Note 10. There is also still room for the headphone port, which is disappearing on the Note 10 and Note 10 Plus. While I have begun to use wireless headsets a lot more recently, I still use the headphone port on my car entertainment system as I'm a little bit too cheap to upgrade. I'll be sad to see it go, but I'm sure many of you will be furious, but you can vote with your wallet of course. Now the S Pen is still fantastic, it's the best stylus on any smartphone or tablet. I have to admit that I almost have stopped using it entirely though. It's still the best for document signing, drawing or sometimes just swiping and tapping, but it's not part of my usage as much as it used to be, and I feel it's less necessary than it ever has been. From a hardware inclusion perspective, putting my cards on the table, I think this might still be one of the best phones on the market, even at this point in 2019. The camera notwithstanding, you get a gorgeous display, S Pen, headphone port, a nice if little iterative design, massive battery, physical fingerprint reader, stereo speakers, and that's just off the top of my head. The Note 9 is still an absolute beast, make no mistakes. When sitting the device side by side with the current top tier Samsung flagship in the form of the S10 Plus, both devices feel very apart in terms of design. It's a combination of years of Samsung pushing what is possible in smartphone design. Now while the hardware on paper is almost unrivaled, the software leaves a little bit to be desired, at least in my opinion. One UI is a massive step up over older Samsung experience, and especially old TouchWiz, but sometimes it does feel a little janky or not thought out properly. Take for example the Messages app. I understand that it is optimised for one-handed usage, but you do end up with tons of wasted space and it feels a little bit unfinished at times. Gestures, well, they are just not fun in my experience. I must admit I do prefer the on-screen buttons anyway over gestures, so it's not a big deal in all honesty. Like any Samsung, you can move the navbar buttons around too, which is amazing in my opinion, and I hope that a lot of other manufacturers take note. One UI is still a world away from the old TouchWiz Samsung. The whole device though feels much more snappy, although when initially installing I did notice some lag here and there, so I proceeded with a full restore and it feels like new again. Hopefully we get to a stage where we no longer need to do that on all smartphones in future though. Apps do load quickly, and if you're a gamer you'll be able to play all of the top games with no issues or slowdown, plus they do look amazing on the display and sound just as good thanks to the stereo speakers. Software updates have been improved since launch too, they come a lot more regularly, which is a start. The overall experience makes the most of the larger form factor though, I will say that. I need to discuss battery life at this point. The 4000 mAh cell is such a step over the Note 8 that it was actually the genuine sole reason why I decided to upgrade in all honesty. After nearly a year of usage, the battery isn't quite what it once was. I do no longer get 2 days of full usage, but a full day of heavy use is well within its limits, with a little bit left over at the end of the day. The biggest crime here is that with such a large battery, there is only 15W fast charging in the box, and I've complained about it in the past, but when you can top up the 4000 mAh battery on the OnePlus 7 Pro in under an hour and a half, this feels way slower and it is a step behind. I do like the inclusion of wireless fast charging though, so I tend to stick to that most of the time. Of course, charge speeds are one of the few sore points we've had since day one with the Note 9. Now, an area that has only really lost power over the previous 12 months is the camera performance. It's not that the Note 9 has suddenly stopped having an exceptional camera, it's that the rest of the pack has caught up and in some cases moved ahead. The S10 now includes a triple camera setup that is solid in every scenario, while the lack of a dedicated night mode is a glaring omission. And an OTA still hasn't reached either of my Galaxy phones to bring this mode just yet. In video, the Note 9 does not struggle one bit. It remains one of the best smartphone cameras for video on the entire market. You have tons of excellent modes at your fingertips, and the stabilisation is simply superb, and still one of the industry leaders. If you do like recording video on your smartphone, the Note 9 is still an amazing option. And I think that just about sums up the Note 9, an amazing phone that really doesn't fall short in many departments, and it's a phone that feels like a dying breed, the last of the no-compromises smartphone line, if you will. And it's one of the reasons I think I'll hang on to it even after the Note 10 launches. Note 9 owners and Samsung fans, let's hear your thoughts in the comments section below. From what you've seen of the upcoming Note 10, is it really the upgrade the Note line deserves? I'm intrigued to hear what you have to say, but before you head off, remember to subscribe and ding the notification bell to be among the first to see all of our latest uploads. But as always, this is Damien with 9to5Google. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I will speak to you later.